Bro, Yungeen Ace just dropped a bomb. He claims he knows Julio's final words, and what he said got everybody shook. According to Ace, Julio didn't fade out in silence. And now the streets are buzzing. Julio's people? They're not happy. Word is they're pressuring folks to shut up. Fast. Looks like the Jacksonville war ain't over. It's sparking up again. So here's the rundown. A clip of Yungeen Ace's IG Live started making waves, and what he shared? Wild. He opened up about their final conversation, and it flipped the script completely. This wasn't about sneak disses or get-backs. It got real. Real enough to make the streets pause. Ace said it plain. He told Julio he loved him. After all the chaos, the drill tracks, the shootouts, the online trash talk, that's what he had to say. But not everybody's buying the heartfelt version. Some think Ace was trolling, faking it for clout. Especially since he also said, "It's so funny because we were cool and shit."
Thing I love, bro. On the dead homies, bro. I put it on everything, on my soul, on my kids. I'm the one that smacked Julio Foolio that night when he got dropped at his birthday celebration.
That line right there sparked a whole new wave of debates. This ain't just about Julio anymore. Ace flipped the whole moment into a public message for the youth. He basically said, "Get out the game. Walk away before it's too late." He talked about ego, pride, and that fake need for street respect. How all of that leads straight to a casket or a cage. Whether you believe him or not, one thing's for sure, this story ain't finished. And now everyone's watching what comes next. How did they go from dropping savage diss tracks to saying, "I love you, stay safe behind the scenes"? That's the part that's got everyone's jaw on the floor. According to Ace, they'd been quietly talking in the DMs for a minute, and even had deep convos on Clubhouse. Yeah, while they kept the public beef alive for clout, the real story was unfolding in private. Turns out, these two had more going on than fans ever knew. Behind the fake drama and online smoke, they were actually chopping it up, man to man. And now, things Leo said in past interviews hit different after learning about those secret convos. When someone asked him about ending the beef with Ace, he downplayed it, just said they were mutual. That might have sounded casual at the time. But now, knowing what we know, it hits like a curveball. Still, all that peace talk starts to feel fake once you remember who actually got arrested over Julio's murder. But hold up, there's one major twist. Sheriff TK Waters made it clear in a press conference, Yungeen Ace ain't under investigation. Not at all. That's huge. It means even if some folks from Ace's circle were mixed up in it, Ace himself wasn't behind the scenes pulling any strings. No setup, no green light, nothing. The part that really stings? Ace opened up about how he warned Leo more than once. He tried to make him see the danger coming. You could hear it in his voice, regret, pain, and a little heartbreak, like he wanted to save him, but just couldn't get through in time. This ain't just rap beef anymore, it's real life, and the lines between enemy and ally got real blurry real quick. But still, plenty of folks ain't buying Ace's "we made peace" story.
Are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200.
A lot of people think he's capping, using the situation to clean up his image. So let's take it all the way back. Because the history between Yungeen Ace and Julio was way messier than Ace is making it sound now. Their whole relationship? It was built on pain, soaked in loss, and ended in a way that left the entire hip-hop scene in shock. Yungeen Ace, real name Kia Bullard, was deep with a crew called ATK. And if you're not up on game, that stands for Ace's Top Killers. From the name alone, you know these dudes weren't out here faking it for clout. This wasn't no rap video cosplay, this was real street stuff. Then you had Julio, aka Charles Andrew Jones II, riding with KTA, which stood for Kill Them All. Yeah, that's what they repped. Now put two squads like that in the same city, fighting for turf, respect, and control of the streets, and it's a recipe for straight-up war. No peace, no mercy, just smoke. Things really hit the tipping point in 2017. That's when Julio's cousin, Zion Malik Brown, was gunned down. That single hit lit the match, and what followed became known across the South as the Jacksonville Gang War. Bodies started dropping, tracks turned to threats, and both crews locked in for a battle that went far beyond rap. So when Ace tries to paint a softer picture now, a lot of people are calling BS. Too much blood spilled, too many lives changed. And the streets? They don't forget that easy. When family gets hit in the streets, the whole game changes. That's when things shift from just regular beef to straight-up blood war. It's no longer about turf or status. It's about pride, revenge, and sending a message that disrespect don't come cheap. Julio wasn't the kind of dude to just sit back and let it slide, and neither was anyone in his circle. When your own blood gets taken out, you don't just call up the cops and hope justice shows up. That ain't how the streets operate. Especially not for young men the system failed a long time ago.
It's just like, I don't know them, so I don't be getting what's be going on. I don't know them. Yeah.
Well, you've never met him in person. Have the
None.
two of you actually talked on the phone?
Out here, there's a different code. A cold one. If someone hurts your family, you handle it. Eye for an eye, no passes, no peace. Now here's where things took a hard left and got way more real than most folks are ready for. After Zion got killed, things escalated fast. By June 2018, Ace found himself in the crosshairs. And not just once. He got lit up 8 times. 8 shots, all meant to end him. Let that hit for a second. This wasn't no warning. This wasn't meant to scare him off. Nah, this was a full-on attempt to wipe him off the face of the earth. Somebody wanted him gone. For good. No hesitation. That right there, that's murder with a message. Cold, calculated, and brutal. The only reason Ace is still walking around today is because something, call it fate, luck, or divine protection, kept him alive. Getting shot that many times and surviving, that ain't normal. That's a 1 in a million kind of survival. And it changed everything moving forward. But not everybody made it out alive that night. Ace's own brother, Trayvon Bullard, along with 2 others, were killed on the spot. That changed everything. Now both sides had lost blood. Both had seen people close to them taken out. And both were locked in with a mindset that this couldn't end until somebody paid the full price.
Put it all behind us.
Like I said, you never know what God got planned, we mutual.
What made it all even crazier and way more explosive was how public it got. This wasn't some quiet street drama kept in the neighborhood. Nah, this beef spilled into social media feeds, music videos, and viral moments. People who'd never even been to Jacksonville were sitting on their phones, watching the chaos unfold like it was some twisted reality show. Julio? He was wild with it. He'd post the most disrespectful stuff about the dead, throwing shade on victims and saying things that crossed every line. It wasn't just trolling. It was gasoline on a fire that was already burning out of control. And Ace? He wasn't about to stay silent either. In the streets, keeping quiet can be mistaken for being soft, and being soft can get you lined up real quick. So he came back with something that turned heads everywhere. March 2021, Ace dropped one of the most infamous diss tracks in the game, Who I Smoke. Featuring Spinabenz, Wappa Wit Da Choppa, and Fast Money Goon, it flipped Vanessa Carlton's sweet pop anthem 1,000 Miles into something cold, twisted, and deadly. They weren't holding back. They rapped about real deaths, name-dropped bodies, and turned pain into performance. It was bold, disrespectful, and downright chilling. They took murder, wrapped it in a catchy beat, and served it up to the internet like it was just another track. This wasn't just music anymore. It was warfare with a beat, and the whole world was watching like it was a show. Julio wasn't about to let that slide, so he clapped back with his own diss, flipping Fantasia's When I See You into a chilling response. And just like that, the rap war hit a whole new level. But this wasn't just entertainment for folks casually scrolling YouTube or bumping tracks on Spotify. Nah. This was real life pouring into the mic. This was pain turned into bars, trauma laid over beats. And every time they dropped a track, it felt like they were throwing gasoline on a house already burning down. Everybody in Jacksonville knew. It was only a matter of time before someone else got caught in the flames. And the numbers? They hit hard. This feud has been linked to at least 7 deaths tied to Jacksonville artists. 7 young black men, gone. 7 lives cut short over a war rooted in pride, loss, and pain. That's 7 mothers left with empty bedrooms, 7 friends missing from cookouts, 7 talents who never got to grow past their zip code. Meanwhile, Julio seemed trapped in the storm. Like violence followed him everywhere, no matter how far he ran or how big his music got. He was shot at more than once. In 2021, he got grazed. Then in October 2023, he caught one in the foot. But every time he made it out, it felt less like luck, and more like death was just circling, waiting for its moment. He kept surviving, but folks around him could see it. The streets had his name written in bold. Whether they loved him or hated him, everyone knew. It wasn't a matter of if. It was a matter of when.
But sooner or later, you never know what God got planned, you know? I told him that a couple times, you know? We be talking time to time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what can happen. You know, like, it ain't no, you know what I'm saying? We want to kill each other. Nah, we just mutual, you know?
It was never a question of if something tragic would go down. It was always when. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. After years of beef, bodies dropping, and blood spilled like water, something shifted between Ace and Leo in the months leading up to that final night in June 2024. Crazy, right? 2 dudes who spent almost a decade aiming at each other's necks started finding common ground. Behind closed doors, they weren't talking like enemies anymore. There was a spark of peace, real, quiet peace, that nobody outside their circle even knew about. That change? It flips the whole script, from hate to something deeper. Maybe not friendship, but a real understanding. The same 2 who turned pain into disses, who rapped about revenge, were finally seeing each other as human. That complicated shift in their relationship set the stage for their last conversation. And when Ace revealed those final words, they hit different. They weren't cold, they weren't fake, they were raw, honest, emotional, a total contrast to the tough guy images they pushed out for the world to see. And once you understand the context, it's straight up devastating. Because this ain't just 2 rappers throwing bars at each other. This is way bigger. It's about young black men caught in a cycle that started long before they ever touched a mic. A cycle of poverty, pain, and survival in communities America turned its back on. It's what happens when broken systems, no opportunities, and years of being forgotten collide with a street code that tells you to fight instead of feel. In a world like that, survival becomes the only goal, and living, that's just a luxury most never get. This is about kids who are forced to grow up way too fast, who learned to load a weapon before they ever learned how to handle their emotions, who found money and fame but could never outrun the trauma that raised them. And maybe most importantly, this is about how, even in the darkest corners of life, moments of real humanity can still shine through. But we'll get to that. First, we need to break down how Julio's life came to a tragic end on June 23, 2024, and how that night pushed Ace to open up publicly, exposing private truths that no one saw coming. Truths that would flip the entire narrative around their so-called beef. The night it all changed, Julio's final hours. June 23rd was supposed to be his day. A birthday celebration, turning 26. A rare moment of peace and fun after living through more violence than most people see in a lifetime. Julio had made it farther than anyone expected, especially in a city like Jacksonville, where survival itself is a win. He wanted to celebrate big, to enjoy the rewards of grinding through pain, loss, and war. But the streets don't care about milestones, especially not when you're someone like Julio, someone who had a permanent target on his back, someone who couldn't even post his location without watching over his shoulder. Out there, a birthday ain't always a blessing. It can be a setup. 'Cause when you're that deep in it, there's always someone watching, waiting, plotting. And just like that, what should have been a night of joy turned into a night of blood. The party became the scene. The candles burned for a whole different reason. It all started off chill, just a laid-back plan at an Airbnb in Tampa. Julio was ready to turn up for his 26th birthday, surrounded by his crew, his day ones, the folks who stayed solid through all the highs and lows. Tampa felt like safe ground, neutral territory, a spot where he could finally drop the Julio Foolio image and just be Charles Jones for a night. A young man, not a target. But things didn't go as planned. The group ended up leaving the Airbnb and switching to a home 2 suites near the University of South Florida. To most, that probably seemed like no big deal, just a small hiccup in the celebration. But for someone like Julio, that kind of move wasn't just a change of plans. It was a gamble. See, when you've been through what he's been through, shot at, hunted, living with a target on your back, every sudden move becomes a risk. Changing locations last minute? That's a window of opportunity for enemies to reroute, pull up, and catch you off guard. And Julio? He was posting his birthday vibes all day on Instagram. Celebration flicks, stories, updates. In today's world, that's like dropping a live pin for everyone who might be watching, even the ones with bad intentions. Real talk, when you're that known, when you're that deep in street drama, you can't afford to slip once. Every post, every location tag, every photo can be the thing that gets you lined up. And this time, that minor detour, that shift in location, it was the opening someone had been waiting for. Every IG story, every snap, every tagged location, it all becomes a breadcrumb trail, a digital map for the wrong people to trace. And when you've got real enemies, that kind of online flexing can get deadly. But when you're young, feeling untouchable, especially on your birthday, surrounded by your squad, vibing like you're on top of the world, you don't always think about the danger. You feel untouchable until you're not. What happened next? Straight nightmare fuel. Something that's gonna haunt everyone who ever rocked with Julio for the rest of their lives. Around 4:40 a.m., June 23rd, 2024, Julio was ambushed in the hotel parking lot by a group of shooters in what clearly wasn't no random act. This wasn't a robbery gone sideways. This wasn't wrong place, wrong time. Nah. This was surgical. This was personal. A coordinated hit meant to make a statement that would shake the whole city and beyond. The kind of firepower they brought? Next level. One of them was strapped with a handgun fitted with an extended mag, let off more than 30 shots. Then there were 2 rifles, both equipped with brass catchers. Now, for those who don't know, brass catchers are used to catch bullet casings so police can't trace them back. That means these shooters weren't moving sloppy. They came in like professionals, ready to kill and vanish without leaving a single clue behind. They weren't angry. They weren't panicked. They were focused, locked in with one goal: finish the job and leave no mess. This wasn't heat of the moment. It was cold, methodical, an execution. 5 people were part of the ambush. 3 pulled triggers. Think about that for a second. 3 separate guns going off, coordinated at once. That ain't normal street beef. That's a tactical hit, designed, calculated, final. 5 people teamed up to hunt down one young man on his birthday. 5 individuals put their time, energy, and freedom on the line just to make sure Julio never saw 26. He was out there just trying to celebrate surviving the chaos. But when you've got that much heat aimed at you, you don't stand a chance. Julio was outgunned and outnumbered. There was no way he was making it out once that plan went into motion. The investigation that followed uncovered just how deep this setup went and how carefully it had been planned. The Tampa Police Department, backed by other agencies, pulled everything: surveillance footage, license plate scanners, phone data, all to retrace the killer's steps. Technology didn't lie. Even though they tried to move slick, the digital trail they left behind told the full story. And what it showed? Chilling. This wasn't luck. They didn't just stumble on him, they tracked him, from the original Airbnb to the hotel. That means they had eyes on him. They were watching every move and updating their plan in real time as Julio and his crew changed locations. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment beef. This was a full-on stalking operation, coordinated, patient, and deadly. These suspects were out here operating like they were on a mission, not just reacting off emotion. These weren't just some random street kids caught slipping in the heat of the moment. The suspects ranged in age from 18 to 30, a mix of young hitters and seasoned ones who clearly knew what they were doing. Every single one of them is now facing first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm and conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder. We're talking life in prison type charges. No parole, no second chances. If convicted, they won't see daylight outside a prison fence ever again. But here's where it gets even deeper and more twisted. The motive? Tied right back to that long-standing gang war between Julio's 6-block KTA and rival crews ATK and 1200. Same beef that's been brewing for years. Same conflict that's already left a trail of bodies behind. A war that everybody in Jacksonville knew wouldn't stop unless someone broke the cycle or died in it. But then, things got messy, fast. Right after Julio was murdered, same day, Yungeen Ace dropped a song called Do It. And the timing couldn't have been worse. The lyrics and visuals showed a hotel parking lot ambush. Yeah, just like what happened to Julio hours earlier. That alone had people raising eyebrows, questioning everything. The internet exploded. Fans, blogs, everybody started speculating, was this just sick coincidence? Or was it something darker? And then came the allegations, whispers and online posts claiming Ace was somehow involved. Whether that was truth, or just some clout chaser trying to tie their name to a high-profile murder, it didn't matter. The damage was done. People started pointing fingers, lines were drawn, and just like that, the tragedy became a media frenzy, with Ace right at the center of it all. It was like throwing gasoline on a wildfire. People became even more convinced that Ace had something to do with Julio's death. The streets were buzzing, and social media was in full meltdown mode. But then, out of nowhere, the story took a turn no one saw coming. About a month after Julio's murder, right when the rumors and accusations were boiling over, Yungeen Ace broke his silence. On July 21st, 2024, he jumped on Instagram Live. And what he said shocked everybody tuned in. Instead of doubling down or dodging, Ace spoke straight from the heart. And what came out painted a version of their relationship that flipped years of public beef on its head. He denied any involvement in Julio's murder, flat out. But it wasn't just about clearing his name. Ace opened up with real emotion, dropping this line. Sad. I ain't gonna lie, bruh. Leave the streets alone, playa. I don't condone stuff like that. The pain in his voice hit different. You could hear it, feel it in the way he spoke. This wasn't a diss. This wasn't shade. It was sorrow. You could tell, deep down, Ace wasn't celebrating anything. He was mourning. Whatever drama they had in the past, in that moment, it was gone. What was left was a man grieving the loss of someone who used to be his biggest enemy, and maybe, just maybe, had become something closer to a friend. And in the middle of the chaos, Ace used the moment to speak to the youth. He wasn't glorifying the streets. He was begging the next generation to walk away before it's too late. Julio was laid to rest on July 6, 2024, at Edgewood Cemetery in Florida, surrounded by the people who knew him not as Julio Foolio, but as Charles Jones. To them, he was a son, a cousin, a friend, a real person, not just some name caught up in headlines or street stories. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think about Ace revealing Julio's final words? Is there more to this story than we've been told? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you felt this breakdown. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay locked in.